A big indeed, big win in the Big Blue for Melbourne Victory. A dramatic 3-3 draw in the grand final rematch between Melbourne City and Central Coast Mariners. And we've just seen a big away win from Wellington Phoenix, who returned to the top of the ladder, defeating the previously undefeated Macarthur FC. There's a lot to dissect from this past weekend in Early Men's Action. My name's Lockie, this is Coast Football. We're going to be live for the next hour talking about it, going through the games one by one. We'd love for you guys to join the discussion. That's the idea with these things, a live discussion with you guys. So we'd love to get your thoughts. We've been doing this for the past few weeks now, and it's been really enjoyable. And it's a good place to, we're trying to create a nice, safe and nice place for A-League fans to discuss, drop their thoughts and their feelings, because I'm sure there's plenty of feelings coming out of this weekend, good and bad, depending on who you support in the competition. And we've just had a fixture wrap up literally minutes ago. Wellington Phoenix did win 3-0 away to Macarthur FC, which was a big result. A great response, you get to say, after Wellington lost last week against the Jets. But before we jump into the week's games, going to say good day to everyone in the chat. Good to see Nama here. Butter, of course, Butter's a Wellington Phoenix fan. Says we're top of the league. Noah's here as well. Good to see here. Noah says up the Knicks. The Phoenix fans showing up already. Good to see. Marcus, of course, a Sydney FC fan, as we could tell from the picture there, says, not going to lie, I thought Sydney had no chance before the Big Blue. Ashton, good to see you here as well, mate. What a game in the Big Blue. It was an entertaining game. And I'm sure that's one we're really going to focus on tonight in our discussion. Jacob, of course, is a Brisbane Roar fan, says skip Raw v West United, in my opinion. Good to see Josh here as well. Appreciate the comment as well from Newer Jets Football. Newer Jets, feel free to shoot me a DM, man. Good to see you here as well. Sam says, how's it going, Lockie? Up the Jets. I'm doing well, dude. I'm doing well. Will, as well, as you can tell from the picture there. Carla Mamiento in the picture there, Will. Love it. Says, yep, skip that game. That was another big one. From every game had big talking points. So there's plenty to discuss tonight as well. And you're absolutely right, Lockie TV show. It is Melbourne Derby week. So, of course, it's a big occasion in the A-League and a big occasion in Melbourne. And it should be a good game. And towards the end of the stream tonight, we're going to go for about an hour or so. Towards the end of the stream, we're going to do a little mini preview of the upcoming round's fixtures as well. The final round before Christmas. Let's jump into it. Some of you guys, some of the Brisbane Roar fans in the chat saying, please, let's not talk about it. But we have to kick off where it all started. Western United 2, Brisbane Roar 1. Western United finally win a game, dude. And they were much better in this match. And I just want to talk about it straight off the bat as we look at these formations. This is just coming from Google here. Of course, Daniel Pena, Risdon scoring late, is O'Shea who opened the scoring with a penalty. But the change where it changed for Western United in this game was a move that we had literally talked about, I think, at last week's live round recap. Someone else mentioned it in the chat, and I discussed it as well. Why are we playing Daniel Pena out wide and Lockie Wells through the middle when Daniel Pena, as we've seen at Newcastle Jets a couple of years ago, is clearly much better utilized in a central role? Well, John Aloisi must be tuning into the Coast of Football live streams because he made that exact change for this game. And guess what? It worked a treat. Daniel Pena was fantastic in this match. Easily his best game in a green and black shirt. Scored a penalty. Had a goal disallowed earlier on in the half as well. That was a bit of a confusing situation where no one realized it was disallowed, but it was disallowed. But it made sense, Pena out wide, Pena through the middle, Wales out wide, and Lockie Wales more traditionally a winger anyway. It made sense, and it worked out in this game. A couple other changes here and there as well. They did have Seb Pasquale in midfield as well. Stephen Lustica was dropped to the bench. Brisbane Roar, look, from their point of view, obviously disappointing to lose this game. They got a decent win away to Adelaide the week prior, and overall that team looking pretty solid. Obviously, they were missing those two players who went down injured last week against Adelaide. We're looking at Burke Gilroy. We're looking at Scott Neville. So, Truin and Zabala slotting in. But aside from that, this is the team that has been playing pretty well of late for Brisbane, and they were good for patches in this game. I don't think Brisbane were terrible in this match. Let's have a look at the stats here from Google. You can see Western United much more productive in front of goal, 17 shots, 7 on target. Possession was pretty even. Brisbane, the 11 shots, 3 on target. But it certainly was the home team who were creating the better quality chances, I thought. And in the end, Josh Risdon, who is such a workhorse up that right flank for West United, a real leader in that side. Obviously, the captain now, Josh Risdon, showing up late in injury time to grab the winner. How do we feel about this one, though? How do we feel about it? Sam says, as a Jets fan, I feel that Pena 100% deserved the goal for obvious reasons. That's right. We got all the coaches tuning in, apparently. Rano, good to see you here, man. Why was the goal scrubbed? Roos blocking the keeper? I believe that's what it was. Yeah, I believe it was. Jacob here with a comment regarding Brisbane Roar. Says missing Berenguer and Hoare hugely need depth signings in January. It was an area of concern, and I mean, last few weeks they have done well. You know, Lofthouse has come in and done a good job. He scored last week for Brisbane, but that was the area of concern for me for Brisbane heading into this season. You know, if they lose a couple of players to injury, you know, like someone like Berenguer and, you know, heaven forbid for Brisbane Roar fans, Jay O'Shea. You know, if these players go down, it's all of a sudden a much weaker squad, and you get worried. You know, especially in a long season. You know how they'll go, especially competing with some of the top teams in the competition. But look, failing to defeat a struggling Western United side is going to be really disappointing for Ross Aloisi and Brisbane Roar. Of course, this was the Aloisi brothers derby, if you like, the two brothers meeting up. Sam also mentions, I'm looking forward to versing Western at home on the 30th. Interested to see what the reception will be for Pena and Gus Thurgate, of course, two former Newcastle Jets players. Look, a TV show says West United needed to start somewhere, and hopefully we see that through the season. That's the question for you guys from me. And each game has its own question, its own talking point, its own discussion that we can dive into. Will this spark Western United to push on this season? By that, I mean, is this result going to flip the switch for Western? Are we going to see this team kick on from this result? Is this the turning point for John Aloisi's side? I think they showed in this game, and to be fair, they have showed in previous games, despite losing, you know, a bunch of games, obviously, early on in the season. This side has shown signs. And you look at the team, it's a good team, man. I mean, Thurgate, we know he's a good midfielder. We already know that, you know, what Daniel Pena can do. Noah Botic, when he's in form, when he's playing with confidence, he will find the back of the net every time in front of goal. Tomoki Yamai, Ben Garuccio, Josh Risdon, this is an experienced defense. There's a team that I think is capable of success here for Western United. Is this result going to really turn things for them and allow them to push on up this season? Or is this season already out of finals out of reach for them? Lockie Show reckons yes. Jacob says, I think they are already too far behind TBH. It would have to be close to a perfect run from here on out. I think I agree with you there, Jacob. I think 6 consecutive losses is rough. Is rough. And it's going to, as you mentioned there, Jacob, it's going to take a near perfect run to really see them jump up and you know, contest with some of the top teams who are, you know, there's already, you know, 4 or 5 teams who are really looking good this year already. So look, it's a fascinating one. I think there's still plenty of time in the season. We have to remember that it is still round 8. There is enough in this side. You know, if Daniel Pena continues, you know, if he can build on this form after this decent game, if he can, you know, get some partnership. We remember, you know, think back to Daniel Pena at Newcastle Jets and the partnership that he had with Beck and Mikkel-Datsy, who was playing up front for the Jets in that season. If he can create something similar with Noah Botic, there's a lot of goals in that combination. A lot of goals there. Will, with some questions regarding Brisbane Roar. Of course, injuries have been hampering the Roar this week. When is Hoare, Berenguer, Neville, Burke-Gilroy supposed to be back? I think all of them are within like the next month or so. I don't think any of them have long-term injuries as far as from what I've seen. If any Brisbane Roar fans can give us an update as well, feel free to jump in the chat. Bunner as well on West United says, I've seen Phoenix get one from our first 5 and finish the season in 3rd. It's possible, but not for Western United. Look, it's a terrible start, and they really have to make sure they keep the results coming. They've got an interesting away game coming up this weekend, away to Sydney FC. So, look, a big win for West United at home as well. We're playing at Amy Park for this game. And Brisbane Roar, look, hopefully for them, this is just a sort of a blip. They obviously picked up an impressive win away to Adelaide United, who they themselves have been struggling as well. But a decent game to kick off the round. And we had 2 Friday games, and we jump into the next one now. It's Western Sydney Wanderers 1, Adelaide United 0, which was for these two teams, was an uncharacteristically quiet game. This is usually a goal fest. We think back to that matchup last season when it was 4-4 at Cooper Stadium in Adelaide. And this one was a bit of a stalemate at times. The goal came from Dylan Parias in the first half, but it was pretty quiet. It was the game was played at quite a slow pace. And especially at the end there, of course, we know Josh Balente, as you can see here, picking up that red card. Was it a red card for me? Yes. Dangerous from Josh Balente. Received his marching orders. From then, Wanderers holding on. And, that was a blow for Western Sydney as we look at these lineups here. Tom Beadling going off injured in that first half. And Michael Rudan, interestingly enough, opting to shift Jorrit Hendricks, who has been so good this season, back into defense. And it worked a treat. Hendricks was superb in this game. And I almost wonder now, we'll see what happens with the injury to Tom Beadling. Don't know if he'll be out for an extended period of time or so. We'll see. But I wonder if, after this performance, if there's almost a thought in Michael Redan's mind to play Marcelo and Hendricks as the centre-back partnership at Wanderers. Maybe. You'd probably rather have someone like Hendricks in midfield. He's a great passer of the ball and has already established a good partnership in midfield with Josh Balente. Valentino Yule making his starting debut for the Wanderers in this game as well. So, look, great win for West Sydney Wanderers, especially losing last week against Victory. 1-0, clean sheet. They'll be very happy with that. Marco Redan will love that result. But Adelaide United, there's more talking points coming out from the Reds from this game. And we look at this lineup, and they made a number of changes as well. Tunnicliffe coming in to start the game, Alagic into midfield as well. And then even in the central defensive department, more rotation. Nick Ansell, Popovic, back into the team. They were both rested last week. Rested, injured, just rotation, who knows? But the question for you guys here in this one is simply, are Adelaide still searching for their strongest lineup? Like, what is Adelaide's strongest lineup? There's almost a sense that Carl Vert, okay, he's a good coach. He's proved that. He picked up the Coach of the Year award last year in the A-League Men. There's almost a sense that he's still figuring it out. Does he start Nestor Irankunda? Is Isai still that main guy in midfield for the Reds? I don't know. He's still figuring it out. Lockie TV show. Good to see you here, as always, with his thoughts on this game. Said, I thought Adelaide had their chances, but couldn't put the ball behind the net to win the game. I assume you mean into the net, of course. To win games, you have to take chances. Absolutely. With a comment here on Hendricks. Jacob says, Hendricks offers way too much in midfield. Joshy with a big call here says, I think Adelaide will be in a ditch when Irankunda leaves. Of course, Nestor Irankunda, Adelaide will be very happy that they're keeping in till the end of the season. It'll be interesting. Look, I'm sure they got plenty of good young players coming through who will be able to at least attempt to replace Nestor Irankunda. Marcus, with this sound, Irankunda says, yes, you have to play Irankunda. Yeah, I don't know. He's had some decent games already this season starting. We know he's been starting almost every game so far this season. I do like him as an impact player, but he's just been a bit hot and cold so far this season. He's pretty quiet coming off the bench in this match. Rado says, maybe Vert has hit his ceiling. Tan Lee says, Irankunda not clicking since Goodwin left. Obviously, Craig Goodwin. That was a big blow. Like, Look, credit to guys like Zach Clough who have really stepped up in Goodwin's place. Zach Clough already picking up a handful of goals and assists. Another department for the Reds. I mean, Luka Ivanovic, I like him. He's a good young striker, but you've got someone, if we scroll down here, these lineups coming from Google from this game. I mean, this guy here, if you're searching for goals, if you're searching for someone to put the ball in the back of the net, which Adelaide struggled to do in this game, Hiroshi Ibasuki is going to do that for you. And I mean, if I was Adelaide's head coach, Jovanovic has sort of struggled in front of goal the last couple of games. You got to throw Hiroshi and Ibasuki in there, and then bring Jovanovic on as an impact player in the second half to for something different. Ashton asks here, what happens if Gauci leaves? Well, and this occurred to me as well, thinking about the goalkeeper situation for the Socceroos, and we know Joe Gauci could well be involved in the Asian Cup squad for the Socceroos in literally just a month's time. It's weeks away. And yeah, that's a blow for the Reds. Obviously, Gauci is one of the top keepers in the league. You got James Delianov on the bench, who is a decent replacement. But he's not Joe Gauci. Good to see you here as well, Troy. So good to see you guys tuning in. If you want to support the stream, hit the like button. And you can also consider sending through a super chat. We're doing an hour-long live discussion around all the A-League games. 1-0 Western Sydney Wanderers. Look, they'll be very happy to respond after losing at home, that big 4-3 loss at home, to come back here with a 1-0 win. But it's the concerns are around Adelaide United now. Because let's pull up the ladder. Let's have a look at the ladder. And Adelaide is just starting to slip a little bit here, as we can see. This is the Reds sitting in 7th place. 3 consecutive losses. It's been an interesting season for Adelaide. 3 wins, 1 draw, 4 losses. 17 scored, 14 conceded. There's a lot of goals in Adelaide games. They've had a funny season. They scored a bag of goals against Melbourne City early on in the campaign. Conceded 5 at home against Sydney FC. Lost 2-0 to Brisbane at home as well recently. They're a tricky team to pin down. And this isn't the first time this has happened to Adelaide United. They have often been a team who have just been inconsistent. When they're good, they're really good. When they're bad, they are just not playing well at all. Tan Lee, appreciate the super chat, my friend. Of course, Tan Lee, a regular viewer of our Coast Watch Football live streams. Appreciate you tuning in as always, bro. And appreciate the super chat. Marcus, the comment, when I watched Wanderers victory and Yule scored, I thought nobody knew he joined Wanderers. Yeah, it was one of those signings that sort of sneaked in a couple of weeks ago. He was signed as an injury replacement to replace Brandon Borrello. Decent player to bring in Valentina Yule, and he was given a start in this game, of course. So let's shuffle on to our next game, and it's time to talk about our Saturday fixtures. And this was a fun game. Newcastle Jets 2, Perth Glory 2. Dramatic late drama in this game. The Newcastle Jets were the better team in the first half. They took the lead through Apostolos Stamatolopoulos, who is in superb goal-scoring form, 26th-minute penalty. And then Perth Glory came out firing in the second half. Taggart, Kolakowski, who are both having good seasons for Glory, despite the team overall having a pretty poor season. And from there, it was a big storyline building as we approach full time, because this Glory side haven't won a game in over a year, an away game, I should say, in over a year. And it was set to be a historic result. And then Trent Bahagia off the bench shows up late to score for Newcastle Jets and equalize. And again, this was almost going to be another shock result. Like, this was the game where I think everyone tips Newcastle to win. We saw what Newcastle did last week away to Wellington Phoenix and thought if they do anything similar, they're going to smash Perth Glory. But the way Glory just came out with such a bang in that second half, and Taggart Kolakowski scoring, it really put Jets on the back foot, and they were having to chase the game towards the end there. It's a fascinating Newcastle lineup. They do have I believe they have the youngest average starting lineup in the league this season. When you look at the likes of Kankar, Nata, Moragas, Clayton Taylor, Thomas Aquilina is still very young as well. This is a team with plenty of youth, but plenty of quality in there as well. Ren Episcopo starting, a couple consecutive starts, which is good for him. We know what a fit and firing Ren Episcopo can do. And again, Perth Glory, when you look at their lineup here, I have been a bit skeptical about, the team selection from Alan Stajic, but is it working yet for Perth Glory? This one, this game it almost did. I think, as I mentioned, Taggart, Kolakowski, both already with a few goals this season. This was Taggart's 5th of the season. When he has had his opportunities, Adam Taggart, he has taken them. Kolakowski as well, providing a good impact. Pizanic, you obviously got to start him in midfield, but I feel like across defense and midfield, maybe there's still some reshuffling, maybe some work to do in the January transfer window for Perth Glory. But just a dramatic late scenes there at Newcastle. Marcus, so I'm sticking with my hot take of Jets making finals. Hey, look, I don't mind it. I don't mind it, Marcus. I feel like it's I feel like they could be one of those sides from the bottom 6 from last year who could really surprise. They don't necessarily have a star-studded squad, but they have players who are already, looking real good this year. Apostolos Stamatolopoulos, second top on the goal-scoring chart so far this season. Troy says, no chance. I can't see Newcastle making finals. Danny says, that isn't a bad squad that Perth Glory have. And it isn't. It isn't a bad squad. It isn't a bad squad. You look at, someone like Adam Taggart, who is obviously a proven goal scorer in the A-League. Luka Ivanovic, Stefan Kolakowski, 2 young strikers. Salim Khalifi, when he's in form, he is a very good player. Of course, Bozanic provides a lot of experience. And again, I'm still a fan of the defensive partnership of Beavers and Latchman, despite the fact that they have been conceding plenty of goals of late. It isn't a bad team. But it's not a fantastic team. And I think that's where it's going wrong at the moment for Alan Stajic, who, again, we know he's a good coach. So what is it going to take for Glory to get this season going? And the question for you guys is, how do Glory improve their away form? They came so close in this fixture to finally winning an away game. Over a year since they last won an away fixture. They just struggle so much on the road. And, is it that obviously that long trip over from Western Australia that really takes its toll on this Glory side? I don't know, man. I don't know what the answer is. Do you guys know? Drop your thoughts in the comment section in the live chat. So glad to have you guys joining me in this live round recap that we'll be doing every Monday night. But again, as Danny mentioned, it's not a bad team that Perth Glory have. It just doesn't have enough star power. I think both of these sides, Newcastle and Glory, are 2 teams who could benefit from just a signing or 2 in January if they can manage it. Oh, love this. Big question. Big question for Dan. Feel free to chime in on this one as well in the chat. Love the question, man. Apostolos Stamatolopoulos for the Asian Cup. Tell you, Lou, after this game, it crossed my mind. I was like, this guy, what is it, 8 goals now for the season? It crossed my mind. I was like, we're all freaking out about Bruno Fornaroli, and it's an absolute certainty that Bruno Fornaroli is going to be wearing green and gold next month. Apostolos Stamatolopoulos, I mean, he's, when it comes to strikers, it's all about confidence. And when you're on top of your game, scoring goals for fun, it's a dangerous proposition. Apostolos Stamatolopoulos, I think, I don't think he'll be there, but I don't mind the idea. The idea is, I mean, who do you drop then? Like, I can't see the Socceroos taking, I can't see Graham Arnold taking no more than 3 strikers to the Asian Cup. Whether you include Cassini Yengi in there as your 4th striker, he's someone who can play out wide as well. Would you take say Duke, Fornaroli, and Stamatolopoulos, and then maybe Yengi as well as another option? But then you're leaving out the likes of McLaren. I know McLaren is maybe currently carrying an ankle injury at the moment. There's probably a few other names that we're missing there as well, but it's a decent idea. It's a decent idea. Marcus with a comment on Perth Glory says Salim Khalifi needs to start assisting the strikers. He's only 24. Stamatolopoulos, yes, as well, yeah. It's a good point. He's still very young. It feels like he's been around for ages. Stamatoulopoulos, he started at Adelaide, went to Western United, Newcastle, had 2 stints at Newcastle Jets now. He's spent some time overseas in Greece as well, I believe. Yeah, man. Good to see Tay as well in here as well. Definitely going to talk about MacArthur. They tonight picked up a 3-0 loss at home to Phoenix. Joshy says McLaren shouldn't play in the Asian Cup. We've got a couple of comments here for Cummings. Jason Cummings. We haven't been following Jason Cummings too closely. Of course, he's playing in India at the moment. But you get the sense that he won't be included in the Asian Cup squad. He's fallen out of favour in the last couple international windows. So I think Fornaroli is definitely ahead of Cummings at the moment. I've got the sense. I've got a sense. I know Joshy says here that McLaren shouldn't be, playing in the Asian Cup. I've got the sense he will be picked if he's fit. Sam says Macca wouldn't play anyway, as it's clear Duke would start. That's true. I think Mitch Duke, regardless of Bruno Fornaroli, McLaren, whoever's coming in, I think Duke's definitely going to start for the Socceroos in that first group stage match against India. And Tan Lee, I mean that sums up the discussion, right? How good is it as Socceroos fans, Australian fans, to have so many options in the forward department? Great to see Australia have more choices for strikers. And it's not just the forward area in the pitch for the Socceroos. It's across the park, man. It's across the park where, having a lot of debates in midfield, even in defense, even in the goalkeeping positions, with Matt Ryan potentially missing the tournament, potentially, with that fractured cheekbone. A lot of strong opinions when it comes to the goalkeeping area. And it's not like, oh, who do we pick? Who's good enough to step up? It's like, no, this, he, all these guys should get picked. Josh is keen for the Socceroos to bring in some young guns in from the A-League. I'd love that. I feel like, and we talked about it briefly in the live watch along for the Big Blue on the weekend. Of course, a lot of you guys were there for that one. That was good fun on Saturday night. We do love seeing the young guys come in, and but I think there's a time and place. I think the young guns, obviously, when it comes to the sort of the early rounds of World Cup qualifiers, the friendly matches, that's when you got to bring in the young guys, give them the experience. But this is the Asian Cup, man. This is the second biggest tournament for the Socceroos, and we should be going in to win this. And we have to be playing our strongest squad. Not saying that some of these young guys, have the quality to get picked. I wouldn't mind seeing Nestori Irankunda in the Socceroos squad. In terms of goalkeepers, taste is Gauchi over Ryan anyways. As Sam also says, this is turning into a Socceroos discussion and we love it. I don't think Arnie would pick a young goalkeeper to start, as I think he would want an experienced player. But who that is, I have no idea. That's why I mentioned when I talked about it, I put up a YouTube short about the goalkeeper situation last week. I did throw out Andrew Redmayne as an option. I don't think it'll happen. But, it wasn't too long ago when he obviously made that incredible penalty shootout, those incredible penalty shootout antics against Peru, which was last year, right? Last year. Feels like 3 years ago. Anyway, plenty to talk. We might have to do a separate Socceroos stream because there's plenty to talk about when it comes to the Socceroos in the Asian Cup. Perth Glory 2. Newcastle Jets 2. Late drama in the Hunter. It's time to talk about the big one. Of course, it's the Big Blue. We did a live watch along for it on Saturday. Of course, we've been doing our Saturday night primetime live watch alongs. And for the last few weeks, it's been all Sky Blue. It's been plenty of Sydney FC games. And let's dive into this one. Melbourne Victory 3, Sydney FC 0. Sky Blues lose again 2 consecutive weeks in a row. And Victory. And now, after tonight, the only team in the competition who are yet to lose a game. And the stats are where we have to, first of all, bring out the magnifying glass. Because, look, Victory, it's okay. 12 shots, 6 on target, 31% possession. Sydney FC, look at this. Look at it. 69% possession, 20 shots. That's 3 on target. 3 on target. And I'll tell you what, some of those shots, especially in the second half, potentially sailed out of the stadium. They were missing the target. Left, right, and center, Sydney FC. And again, you look at the possession. They had almost 70% possession. They dominated a lot of this game, Sydney FC. And Melbourne Victory, their just defensive shape was too good. And Sky Blues were just struggling to create creative, promising chances, dangerous chances. Let's look at the lineups here. The Sydney FC lineup, not quite what we see here. These lineups coming from Google. More just a straight 4-4-2, if you like, with Gerd Reich playing alongside Luke Bratton. Of course, Mac and Lolly playing a bit higher up on the pitch. Big news for Sydney FC. Jack Rodwell was back. He did have a decent game, I thought. Of course, they were missing Andrew Redmayne through suspension, so Pavlicic came in for this one. But it's that Melbourne Victory team that is just cooking at the moment. And, that front four, I mean, Falami came in for this game. Whether it's Falami, whether it's Valupale, this Victory team is so dangerous. And I'm terrified of, if you're facing Melbourne Victory, you'd be terrified of playing them because they're just playing with such confidence at the moment. Talk about confidence. Bruno Fornaroli yet again scoring, taking his tally up to 12 for the season. Machash scoring a lovely goal. That little chip over Pavlicic was delightful. And Daniel Arzani with a very good finish as well. Brimmer starting to start consecutive games now, which is great to see. He's back from injury. Ryan Teague's been fabulous. And that back four was just unstoppable. Paul Izzo had a great game as well. But the Sky Blues, dude, where's it going wrong for them, man? What do they have to fix up? You look at, Robert Mack and Joe Lolly. These guys are good players. Anthony Caceres on his day is a good player. Luke Bratton has so much experience. Fabio Gomez, it's just not working out at the moment. He scored 1 goal so far in the A-League season. And you got someone like young, if we scroll down to the bench here, young Patrick Wood, who I love, man. I love Patrick Wood. I think he's great. And he was scoring goals for fun in Sydney FC's Australia Cup run. Bring him back into the starting lineup. That's what I would do. I don't know if Sydney FC fans have the same sentiment, but I don't know. If I'm a Sydney FC fan, I'm getting frustrated watching Fabio Gomez. I think he's got potential. You look at him, he's a tall guy. He's strong. He's physical. But he just doesn't, he's not playing with confidence right now. He's not. Oh my goodness me. Troy with a comment here regarding Sydney FC. I just don't understand Sydney. They have high standards, obviously being one of the biggest clubs in the league, but they just put in bad performances. They look great on their day, but need to gel. Yeah, man, Ufuk Talay has a big task on his hand as well to get this team together. Generally, good to see you here as well. Says absolutely right with the terrible shots. Surprised there wasn't a game delay because they could have easily lost all the balls. They kept sailing out of the stadium. Hey, Marcus, of course, as we can tell from the profile picture, Marcus, always good to see you here in the chat, my friend, says, I agree to drop Gomez. I mean, look, Sydney FC fans obviously would have been so excited about the season after Gomez came on off the bench in that Australia Cup final, which feels like an eternity ago, and scored a brace in the second half. And everyone's like, oh my God, this Brazilian striker we signed, he's going to be incredible. And in the A-League season, it's just been, it just hasn't worked, dude. It just hasn't worked out. Maybe him coming off the bench would be an interesting tactic. Start Patrick Wood. Bring Gomez in the last 20 minutes just to, ruffle the leaves, I should say, of some defenders. Righto with a comment on Ryan Grant. Obviously, Ryan Grant, one of the more experienced names in the Sky Blues lineup. Righto says, Ryan Grant seems to be off the pace this season. Is he carrying an injury or something? As far as I'm aware, he's not carrying an injury. He did miss a good chunk of the Australia Cup through injury. Keely Adamson, who was recently signed with Macarthur FC, much to the many Sydney FC fans' disappointment. He started a lot of those Australia Cup games. They do have young Zach De Jesus, who came for Ryan Grant in this game. Maybe there's some big calls as well for Ufuk Talay because you've got some established senior players like Ryan Grant, like Luke Bratton, Mac and Lolly, obviously huge experience. He's got some big calls to make, whether to drop some of these players, bring in these young guys. You look at that Sky Blues bench again. I mean, Wood, De Jesus, Kaczarski, Amanatides, Glassen. These are all young players with immense potential. And you look at a team like Adelaide United or Central Coast Mariners or Newcastle Jets this season, and they are playing those youngsters. If those guys were at any of those other clubs, they would be playing every week. But it's a different situation when you're at Sydney FC, a team who would, as I think it was Troy who mentioned earlier, demand success. It's interesting. Danny says, could January come at a good time for Sydney? Maybe some movement to be made. Let's talk about Melbourne Victory, man, because that's where the positives are. Tan Leo here with the comment on Victory. Fornaroli, Arzani, Machash combination is too dangerous. Very dangerous indeed. And of course, as well, indeed, Ashton. Arzani gets his first goal in Victory colours. Great goal it was too. Joshy says, atmosphere was packed. Loved watching the game. Also, DJ Broxham came on. Let's go. Lee Broxham making his first appearance of the season as well. Max says, is Fornaroli the new McLaren? But maybe. I mean, Bruno Fornaroli was very, very good in his first couple of years in the A-League, of course. And then maybe McLaren took over, and maybe Fornaroli's taking over once again as the dominant force in the A-League when it comes to strikers. And yes, we did see that. Hey, Nick D'Agostino was in the crowd. Marcus has dropped his wish list for Sydney FC in the January transfer window. Says we need a goalkeeper, right back, centre back, and central defensive midfielder. Troy says the Big Blue, in terms of the game, was highly entertaining. It was a lot of fun to watch. It was fun to watch. But it was Melbourne Victory, who were just too good. And if they keep up Melbourne Victory, they're undefeated this season. The question has to be raised: can they win the premiership? Can this Melbourne Victory side that you see here? Is this a team that you see finishing first come the end of the regular season? Yes or nah? My answer is yes. I mean, look at that team, dude. It's terrifying. As I said before. I mean, you just have a look at the front line. Fornaroli, Machash, Arzani, Falami. You got Velupale on the bench as well. I mean, the centre midfield partnership of Brimmer and Teague looks to be the way forward for Victory. And then they've got good replacements on the bench in Rai Marchand and Fabian Monge. And then in the back line, man, it's solid. Connor Chapman starting at right back again. De Silva, Roderick Miranda, two very experienced centre backs. And of course, Adama Traore, very experienced A-League player. And Paul Izzo is a solid goalkeeper. I think this is a team that's capable of winning the premiership. I seriously do. Troy says yes. Marcus says, of course, if Bruno keeps scoring 4 goals every game. Indeed. Bruno, to carry Victory to the finish line. Interesting take from Joshy. He says, no, because Fornaroli will get tired unless we get a backup striker. Hey, look, that is where the concern is. And this, again, we're talking about the Socceroos earlier in the Asian Cup. Fornaroli probably likely to be selected for the Asian Cup squad. He could miss a bunch of fixtures for Melbourne Victory. And you're right there. They don't have a backup striker, Melbourne Victory. If you look at their squad, they don't have a backup striker. We talked about that preseason as well. It's an area of concern, maybe, for Victory. Look, I'm sure someone like Ben Falami or even Chris Economides could slot into that position. Even just play Zinedine Machash up top, man. But yeah, man. Marcus says no one's talking about Teague. And again, like that, actually, we talked about him briefly in the live stream, and I said he's sort of a quiet achiever, you know what I mean? And that's the thing. He doesn't take the spotlight. It's the likes of Arzani, Machash, obviously Fornaroli, who are stealing the spotlight. And Ryan Teague is doing all that dirty work in the engine room, as they say. Ashton says we should get Daggers as our backup striker, sell Economides. Wow, what a partnership that would be. Fornaroli, D'Agostino, that'd be dangerous. That'd be dangerous. And that's the question. And that's the question we should ask now as well. Can Victory keep their form if Fornaroli gets picked for the Asian Cup? Look, we hope Socceroos have a very productive run in the Asian Cup. We hope they go far, which could see some of these A-League players miss, a month or so, right? Bruno Fornaroli could miss, a handful of games for Melbourne Victory. Without his goals, have they got enough? I think they do. I think just in this game, Zinedine Machash, Arzani chipping in with the goals. There are goal scorers across the park for Melbourne Victory. So I think they'll be okay. Blackwood is available. Blackwood is available. He's a free agent at the moment, isn't he, George Blackwood? Is he? Pretty sure. See, that would be interesting. That would be interesting. George Blackwood. Melbourne Victory 3. Sydney FC 0. Another Big Blue win this season for Melbourne Victory. 2 from 2 in the Big Blues. But it's time to jump into our next couple games. And it's the grand final rematch that we have to discuss next. Melbourne City 3. Central Coast Mariners 3. What a game. What a game. And look, I'll give you my take on this as a Mariners fan straight up. My overriding emotion after watching this game was disappointment because we didn't win it. Look, I was elated with the performance. I was overjoyed for Colombian winger Angel Torres, who picked up a hat-trick in this game. A guy who was just maybe been struggling to find his feet in the A-League so far. But Mariners, oh man, especially with the chances that Central Coast had in that second half, could have won this game 6-3. Josh Nisbet was unbelievable, especially in that second half. 3 goals for Angel Torres, but Melbourne City holding on, and not for the first time, coming back to draw a game 3-3 at home. Melbourne City, again, you look at that lineup, it's a strong lineup. Saki, Ugarkovic, Arslan, and midfield's looking good. McLaren, again, a bit quiet in this game. And defensively, especially in that second half, City looking a bit leaky. Looking a little bit leaky. It was a fascinating contest, though, as well. And when you look at the stats, if we pull that up here, I mean, you can see it's really balanced out come the end of the 90 minutes. 14 shots for either side. A couple more on target for the Mariners. City just favouring the possession. But it was the first half where City really dominated. Mariners barely had a sniff. And I remember I put out a post on X, formerly known as Twitter and Threads, saying maybe the travel was taking its toll on Central Coast. They were really struggling to get forward, and they looked a little bit lethargic, I thought. Second half was like I don't know what happened, man, but Mark Jackson, the football manager at Central Coast Mariners, really kick-started this team. Didn't really show up for the first half, and they were just incredible in the second half. Josh Nisbet was pushed up into a more advanced role, and he was just conducting everything for the Central Coast. And a 3-3 draw in the end. Tan Lee says, insane game. Back and forward goals. Harrison, of course, a City fan, says, what a game indeed. I reckon Mariners deserved it, but glad we got back in the game. Because they played in front of Kaznorbo. Of course, another notable viewer in the stands, Patrick Kaznorbo, was spotted at this game. Troy, with his take on this contest, says, we were great. Could have won, but we were poor defensively. But Torres deserved a hat-trick, and Nizzi was fantastic indeed. Runner says, dubious first goal for City with the push on Faz. Yeah, that was a questionable one, wasn't it? Because Jacob Farrell, usually a strong defender, strong in the air too, seemed to go over pretty easily. Marin Jakalic, did he make a push? From what I saw, and look, this comes from a Mariners fan, there wasn't enough to rule out the goal. Maybe there was a bit of contact, but it looked like Faz went down pretty easily. That's coming from a Mariners fan. Tan Lee asks, what's your opinion on Jakalic? He wants to play for Australia. Yes, we did hear that. Even before he played a game in Australia, that he was keen to try and get himself in Graham Arnold's view for the Socceroos. I like him. He's got a lot of potential. Very fast. Plenty of pace, Marin Jakalic. And he's started just about every A-League game for City, hasn't he? He's just lacking the goals, and he finally got one here today for City. Yesterday, I should say. Why is Vidmar at City? Asks Stan. Yeah, look, a lot of people still not happy with how it's going at Melbourne City and Aurelio Vidmar. Obviously, some things still not working out just yet for Melbourne City. They are conceding a lot of goals. Melbourne City 3. Central Coast Mariners 3. The question from this game for you guys is an interesting one. And look, I don't know about this. Like, I'm not saying that it's absolutely did take its toll on the teams, but is midweek football starting to take its toll? We do know that both these teams were involved in Asian competitions in midweek. Of course, we did live watch alongs in midweek for what was a massive final round of group stage matches. Melbourne City losing that really tight Champions League encounter with Zhejiang at home. Disappointing for Melbourne City to concede late and get knocked out of the tournament. Central Coast Mariners with a trip to the Philippines. They played on Wednesday, won 3-0, and they've secured their place in the knockout rounds of the AFC Cup as of MacArthur FC. And, plenty of goals in this game, some defensive lapses of concentration. And is it starting to take its toll? Obviously, City didn't have to do much traveling at all. But Mariners traveling back home, I don't know, man. I don't know. What do you think? Marcus says yes, with the AFC Cup. It will affect MacArthur Mariners, which could be the actual final. Well, in fact, it's quite a convoluted system in the AFC Cup. Mariners and MacArthur could face each other, but it'll come a bit earlier, unfortunately. It'll come in the zonal final. So we are just a couple of fixtures away from potentially seeing Mariners v MacArthur. Not in the A-League, not in the Australia Cup, but in the AFC Cup. I've got some comments regarding the Melbourne Derby. Of course, the Melbourne Derby is coming up this Saturday. National says the Melbourne Derby will be an easy win for Victory. I've got to agree with it, just the way it's panning out. And towards the end of the stream, we're going to do a bit of a deep, not a deep dive, a bit of a preview, just a brief preview on the upcoming games for next weekend. Jacob says, in regards to that question, is midweek football taking its toll? Jacob says, yes. Our squad sizes aren't built for having midweek football. Need a cup competition running during the A-League season so we can increase squad sizes and offer player minutes outside of the A-League. Interesting take there, Jacob, but I don't mind that, yeah. And I think the Australia Cup running through the A-League is something I think is worth exploring. You obviously got to take into account, players' fitness and players' welfare. But yeah, expanding the squads, if we can make it happen, man. That might be the way forward. Harrison, with his take on this game, says, if we hadn't lost all our players, it would have been a much closer game. But agree, could be a 2 or 3 goal margin in favour of Victory, but hope not. Harrison there with a comment on the upcoming Melbourne Derby. Of course, Melbourne City. Some injuries here and there still for City. Matt Leckie out with another injury, unfortunately. Joshy, with his take on the situation, says we need to focus on developing academy players to play in the A-League games when there are Asian players, in my opinion. That's a good point General makes here. I look at it the other way. Come on, you boys in blue, says General, but it's a derby. Form goes out the window. That's a fair point. I mean, how often have we seen it in the big derby games where form absolutely does go out the window, and we can see huge surprises, huge shocks. And interestingly enough, for the first time in maybe a little while, Victory heading into this one, pretty strong favourites, you got to say. Joshy with a correction on the early comment, meant Asian games. Harrison says soccer is a made in city blue. That's true. But Fornaroli has changed it. Yes, finally. Melbourne Victory. With the Socceroo potentially in their ranks. Eliesel here. Great to see someone bringing up Josh Nisbet. Says Nisbet is pressing his case as the league's best midfielder after his performance against City. He's up there. He's terribly underrated. And it's good to see, again, across social media, I saw people mentioning as well. It's good to see people who, just aren't just Mariners fans recognizing it. I mean, Nisbet's been great for a number of seasons now. And that second half was just incredible. I mean, the way he was moving the ball around, linking the play, almost scored. He had a couple of chances to score. Rarely finds the back of the net, just does Josh Nisbet. But he was fantastic. And I almost wonder, I mean, he was, the interesting change for the Mariners at halftime was to bring in Harry Steele into midfield and push Josh Nisbet up alongside Jing Reese, sorry. And that advanced position really suited Nisbet, especially in this game. Marcus says, how has Josh Nisbet not gone to Europe by now? That did cross my mind while watching this game. I was like, this guy, we know plenty of Mariners players have attracted interest from overseas. I mean, I wonder if clubs have come in for Josh Nisbet. Yeah. And now I'm hard with the question here. Which Central Coast Mariners player do you think Monty will buy? Hey, we'd love to see Josh Nisbet make a big move over to Scotland. And wouldn't that be great to see him link up with Monty at Hibernian? Just a dream. Just a dream. All right. A truly entertaining game. Maybe the game of the round, you get to say. 3-3 in the end. But it's time to talk about the final fixture from the weekend. And it literally wrapped up about an hour ago. MacArthur FC 0. Wellington Phoenix 3. Okay. And this match was set up nicely. Two teams towards the top of the ladder in the top 4. MacArthur FC were just second best in every facet of this game against Wellington Phoenix, another Monday night fixture. Of course, MacArthur coming off a solid win in the AFC Cup, which saw them secure knockout football in that tournament. And look, again, they had a strong lineup. They've been playing a pretty consistent and solid lineup, MacArthur FC. Backus and Lewis in midfield, Miller and Holman on the wide flanks, Davila through the middle behind you, man. This is a team that has been playing very well this season. But Wellington Phoenix, we're going to talk about them, man. What a response. After losing 3-0 at home, man, it was just so important. And so the commentators mentioned it as well. Giancarlo Italiano, the head coach at Wellington, he was very passionate in this game. He was very lively and vocal. And you almost got a sense that Wellington Phoenix, who they're not a team this year who are looking to just scrape into the top 6, which they've been doing for the last few years now. They're a team who wants to be winning every single week, and they want to be one of the best teams, if not the best team in the competition. And that's what this result in this performance taught me. This game, we look at the stats. Like if we flick over to the stats here from Google, 15 shots for the Bulls, 14 for the Phoenix. Possession. Bulls did have more possession in the end, especially in that first half. Wellington were doing a lot of defending. But the Phoenix, digging deep, defensive shape was fantastic in this game. And 3 very lovely goals, has to be said. Like really well-worked goals. Kraev scoring that first half. And then a double in quick succession for Costa Barbarouses. What did we make of this game? Let me know. Let me know. Barbarouses on fire. Indeed. Elisa says Kraev is criminally underrated. Jacob says MacArthur playing with 2 wingers, yet neither of them are natural wingers. Doesn't sit right to me. Put Raphael in from the start. Raphael made a great start to the season, didn't he? And he has lost his place. Maybe he has to return. And I know what you mean there, Jacob. Hey, you got someone like Matt Miller, who traditionally more of a fullback. Jake Holman, more of a central midfield player. It worked out last week in that win against Sydney FC, but not this time around, eh? Marcus, I got to agree with you there, man. Says, I haven't seen Barbarouses play this well in ages. Costa Barbarouses, he's been a little bit quiet the last year or so at Wellington, but showed a big time in this game. Max here says Zawada was injured, but David Ball did a good job to fill in. Hopefully it's nothing too serious for Oscar Zawada, who has already missed a couple games in recent weeks. Wellington Phoenix, though, man. I mean, they made a couple more changes in this game as well, which was interesting. I wonder if that was because of that loss last week. Sam Sutton coming in at fullback, Ben Old into midfield. Ben Old was fantastic in that game. He was really, really good. That first assist was delightful. And even the substitutes who come off the bench for Phoenix do a solid job as well. Of course, and we should mention as well, late on in this game, there was a bit of drama, that penalty for Wellington Phoenix and Uli Davila. You'd back him to place it in the back of the net easily. Alex Paulson with his third penalty save of the game. What a moment for the young Phoenix keeper. And the question out of this game is not regarding the teams or the form or anything like that, but we got to talk about this guy. I mean, Alex Paulson, what a season he's having so far. Is Alex Paulson the best goalkeeper in the competition right now? And if no, who is? If no, who is? On the other side of things, Philip Curto, I think, is a very solid goalkeeper. But I think Alex Paulson might, on form so far this season, is the best goalkeeper in the A-League. And if he keeps this form up, he's going overseas come the end of the season. I think so. Danny says he's miles clear. West Sydney fan, good to see you here. Says Paulson is the best 100%. Marcus says yes. Ashton drops Paul Izzo. Paul Izzo did have a great game on the weekend. That's for sure. Joshy says, I think Lawrence Thomas is still up there. Macklin Freak did make a couple of great saves, I thought, against West United. He's one of the more underrated goalkeepers in the league. Macklin Freak. But Alex Paulson, I think he is the best goalkeeper in the league. The saves that he's made and standing up strong against penalties been fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Word here regarding MacArthur. Harrison says he Perth Glory to smash MacArthur next week in WA if they don't make adjustments. Yes, they could make a good case for Paul Izzo when it comes to that goalkeeping question as well. Danny says Paulson, then Thomas, and then Izzo. Interesting that no one's talking about Joe Gauci. West Sydney fans says Thomas, Paulson, and Cook have been the league's best keepers this season. Cameron Cook, very solid option as well. There's solid goalkeepers all across the league. It's good to see you guys mentioning a variety of names. What a result. 3-0 for Wellington Phoenix, man. 3-0. So those are all the fixtures for the weekend. Let's look at the ladder. Let's discuss the ladder. We're going to round off. We're going to wrap up in a few more minutes. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always. If you've got any more questions or talking points, or if you want to drop a like, drop a super chat, you can consider sending it through a super chat to support the channel. Feel free to consider doing that. Let's have a look at the ladder. Wellington Phoenix, with that win against MacArthur tonight, they return to the top of the ladder, 17 points, just one clear of Melbourne Victory. And as we can see here, Melbourne Victory now the only team undefeated in the league and building some good form at the moment. Melbourne Victory, couple wins. Wanderers into third place with that win against Adelaide. MacArthur SC dropped to fourth, their first loss of the season. Brisbane Roar still in a good position, 14 points, fifth place. And then a 3-point gap as Melbourne City, they sit in sixth place, jumping ahead of Adelaide United. And we touched on this briefly earlier on in the stream. Adelaide, 3 consecutive losses. That's a little bit concerning. Still early on in the season, of course, for the Reds. They just sit 7th on 10 points. And then it's Newcastle Jets and Central Coast Mariners who have had some decent results in the last couple of weeks. 1 win, 1 draw in each team's last 2 games. Sydney FC, 2 consecutive losses sees them sitting in 10th place. Equal points now, interestingly enough, with Western United, who jump up from top place. And it's Perth Glory, who, I mean, it's so close to winning. You know, easily, in another universe, wouldn't be sitting there at the bottom. But they currently sit bottom. Let's have a quick look ahead to next week's fixtures, because there's some great games coming up as we head into Christmas. Brisbane Roar, Central Coast Mariners kick us off on Thursday. Great game that'll be. Great game that'll be. Mariners showed what they can do against Melbourne City. They're capable of scoring goals at the moment. Brisbane Roar, though, looking strong at home. Adelaide United, Newcastle Jets. Now, that'll be a fascinating game too, because Adelaide United, 3 consecutive losses. Crucial game for them here. Crucial game for them. Newcastle Jets could cause a big upset there. This might be, I mean, obviously we know the Melbourne Derby is probably the game of the round, but this one is one not to be missed. Wellington Phoenix, Western Sydney Wanderers. What a fixture that'll be. Two of the teams in the top three. Thrilling encounter. Sydney FC Western United, an encounter from the bottom four, and two teams desperate for a win. Western United keen to keep that form going after winning this weekend. Sky Blues would love to turn it around at home. Of course, we've got the Melbourne Derby. Join us for a live watch long of that one. We're doing a live watch long this Saturday for the Melbourne Derby. And then to round it off on Saturday, big Saturday, 4 games. Perth Glory, Macarthur FC. Again, should be a fascinating encounter. Glory will view that as a winnable game against Macarthur team who lost 3-0 tonight. Great games this weekend, man. Great games. Let's have one final jump into the chat here before we sign off. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Harrison says, wouldn't spoon Sydney FC. Anyone agree? I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. But will they play finals? Will they play finals? I don't think so. I think they might slip away. That's right, Harrison. 4 games on Saturday. What a goal rush indeed. Go City says, Lucky TV show. Of course, the Melbourne Derby, one of the big fixtures. One of the biggest fixtures in the A-League season. Guys, appreciate you tuning in. Join us on Saturday for the live watch-along of Melbourne City versus Melbourne Victory. The Melbourne Derby. What a match it'll be. What a match it'll be. So join us for that one. And we'll let you guys know now there will not be any Monday night recap next week because it'll be Christmas. So the plan is to do a Christmas Eve morning stream following that Saturday. So Sunday morning is the plan to do our round recap. So make sure to join us for that one as well. Hey, appreciate you guys tuning in as always. My name's Lockie. This is Coast Watch Football, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.